I want to talk to you about what happened in Texas this week. All of us are horrified. All of us are grieving. All of us are thinking about those parents and what they are going through and will be going through for the rest of their lives. But the horror is compounded by the fact that this is not just something that happened. It is something that happened again. And then the horror is further compounded by the fact that our Congress has done nothing up until this point, 23 years since Columbine. The fact that the NRA, the gun manufacturers, have such a chokehold on our Congress, such a chokehold on our country, that even though we clearly need a ban on those AR-15s, a ban on those AK-47s, we need extended background checks. We need to expand the waiting period. We need to do so much that could narrow the chances that such a horror like this could happen again. Also, just even in the last day, we're getting clearer and clearer about what the police chief in Uvalde calls the wrong decision not to rush in, for the police not to storm the building. You know what? It's time for you and me to rush in. If anything is going to happen to save our children at this point, it's because you and I refuse to shut up. It's because you and I insist on being as inconvenient as possible, putting so much pressure on the lawmakers of this country that this time they must act. The switchboard, the Capitol switchboard, the U.S. Capitol, 202-224-3121. I hope you'll write down that phone number. I hope you'll put it on your refrigerator, 202-224-3121. Call your senators. Call your congressional representative. Look them up first. Find out what their record is. Do they have an A rating from the NRA? That means that they will not budge an inch, and they need to hear from you. If they have an F rating from the NRA, that's good. That means the NRA doesn't like them. That means that they're one of those pesky legislators that keeps trying to get some action in order for us to have common sense gun safety legislation. But you know what? If you have a senator or two, or a congressman, or all three, who are doing the right thing, who are in there trying, call them as well. Call them as well to say thank you. Call them as well to say thank you and to encourage them to keep up the fight. We've got to rush in now. These are our babies we're talking about here. These are our fellow citizens that we're talking about. It's time for each and every one of us now to refuse to shut up this time. Right now, the Senate is on recess, which I can't even believe these people even left the building, much less left town. And I know what the Democratic leadership says. I know that they're saying we don't have the votes. But then why aren't they carving out a filibuster? Or if not, go on and pass some good legislation and let the Republicans who choose to filibuster that legislation, let the whole country watch them do that. Let the whole country listen to them justify their blood money reaction, because that's all we're talking about here. Senator Ted Cruz, do you know over the course of his career, he's gotten $442,000 in contributions, donations, political donations from the gun lobby. And of course, he says that it's only the media wants to politicize this issue. No, it couldn't be a more political issue. Other countries have had these horrifying events, and they have dealt with it. They have dealt with it through common sense gun legislation. These assault weapons, these AR-15s, these AK-47s must get off our streets. We should have a gun buyback. Let me tell you something. If we can afford to send $40 billion more to the Ukraine, and I certainly supporting the Ukrainians, although I don't understand what the budget of $813 billion in defense, what, we don't have something there for like a rainy day? If we can afford to come up with that kind of money for defense and that kind of money for an additional $40 billion to support Ukraine, we can afford a multi-billion-dollar buyback program, if necessary, for the AR-15s and the AK-47s on the streets of America. Let me just conclude by pointing out that a common characteristic of all advanced mammalian species that survive and thrive is the fierce behavior of the adult female of the species if she senses that there is a threat to her cubs. And if the females, the adult females of any species, just acquiesce to a system that is systemically and systematically harming our children, that's a species in which the adult females are just acquiescing and giving up. We must not give up. All Americans, we must not give up. It is time. Make noise. Call the Capitol switchboard, 202-224-3121. Right now, with our senators on recess, find out where they are. Find out if they are speaking somewhere in your town, in your city. Show up at the town hall. Show up at the district office. Get together with other parents, with other citizens. For God's sake, let's do something. Let's us rush in.